This is One-on-One. Don Braden is Artistic Director of the Wells Fargo Jazz for Teens program at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center. Good to see you, Don.
Great to see you, Steve.
Before we talk about the Jazz for Teens program, let's talk about jazz overall at NJPAC, our partner at the Performing Arts Center. We've been doing a lot of great stuff with John Schreiber down there. Talk about jazz overall down there. How big?
Well, it's big and growing. John's a big jazz fan, has a history of working in the industry, knows a lot of artists, loves the music, loves it, passionate about it. So as he forges the forward direction of NJPAC, he's looking at jazz in every stage of the process. It's great. Yeah.
Jazz, you know, the oldest American art form, right?
Yep.
Got a history connected to Newark, big time, right?
Yes, definitely.
And talk about Christian McBride in this piece. Tell folks who may not know Christian McBride, what's the piece there?
Christian's a great bass player, composer, band leader. Good friend of mine. He actually, we were when he was 18 and I was in my 20s, we were together in Freddie Hubbard's band for about a year and a half, touring. And even then you could see the incredible talent and great sense of humor, great energy.
And he's coming on board.
And he's on board. He is on board.
Tell folks in what capacity.
He's a jazz advisor at NJPAC, and what he's doing is basically helping in the specific implementation of all kinds of jazz initiatives at NJPAC, including the TD James Moody Democracy and Jazz Festival.
That's big stuff.
Yes, big stuff, and bringing a lot of heavy hitters for that. So
let's go back to the Jazz for Teens program, the Wells Fargo Jazz for Teens program.
Yeah.
You've said that it isn't just the musical part of it. You often say that the Jazz for Teens initiative is focusing on humanity, listening, partnership, teamwork, democracy, and leadership. I'm thinking, wait a minute, Don, this is about jazz. It's about all that and more.
Absolutely.
Make the case.
Well, the jazz ensemble consists of a group of people that, with relatively minimal piece of music, written music, create these incredible works of art and beauty. And the only way they can do that is through implementation of real specific human attributes. Leadership is key. They have to know where they're going. How to listen is key, because if you don't listen to each other, everyone's going to scatter. And we know what that happens in meetings or in a bandstand.
I've seen it.
You've seen it.
I've run some of those meetings.
We've lived it.
Right.
So
is it a metaphor really for the rest of life?
I think so. Absolutely. That's why I'm a jazz educator. I hope that I can create or have a role in inspiring and catalyzing the next John Coltrane or Miles Davis or the next few Wynton Marsalises or whatever. But so great if I can do that. But that's not that realistic. There's so many elements that go into that. But I do think that we can, for everyone that participates in serious jazz pursuit, even listeners too can participate in this, but certainly players at all levels can tap into these specific elements. And I think that we, as educators, it's our responsibility to guide them. And then through doing that, we're doing a service for them. And I think for the world, we really are looking to uplift. That's what artists do. We look to uplift everyone. So.
But Don, how do you pick the young people who participate in the Jazz for Teens program? Like, is it? We have these very talented young people who come on, who are artists and musicians who come on one-on-one. But I'm thinking to myself, in your program, do they try out? Do you go to them? Do they come to you? I mean, is the best the best, or what is it?
Yeah, all of that. So we have programs. We have feeder programs. They're not really feeder programs. They're other programs within NJPAC that can act as feeders, even though they have their own identities. Jazz Infusion, Jazz Immersion, and YAI Jazz, a Young Artists Institute, has a program that's kind of oriented for the younger players. All those three programs, we're looking at students who come through those, and for those are open enrollment. Whoever wants to come in can come in. Jazz for Teens is competitive, so we hold auditions, and we have a number of slots. And we, our goal is to find the finest ones we can. But we'll go to schools for audition. We go to Arts High. We've gone to Cicely Tyson. We've gone to a number of schools, not to mention the schools that we're already in with our various programs. And then they come to us on certain audition days as well.
There's a talented young man, Mr. Rodriguez, is it?
Yes, Michael Rodriguez. Yeah,
he's one of the graduates, is he, of the program?
Yes, he is. Yes.
Because we saw him perform right on the stage at NJPAC in a very big night. I guess it was the gala.
Yes.
We were there for it was Motown night. Right, Jackie Cook, our senior producer. Who else was on stage that night? Darlene Love was there, and Valerie Simpson, and Vogue was there with Four Tops. And there this kid comes out there this Rodriguez kid. I'm like, this kid came from the program. What was that like?
Well, you know, there's all kinds of talent that comes through, and certain people come in with a spark. He came in with a spark.
Do you see it right away?
Usually we do. Usually we see it right away. You get within a couple of minutes. Oh, here's a comer. Most of us who are experienced in education, we see right away when someone's on a seriously ascending trajectory. We can feel it and see it and hear it, pretty much within the first couple of minutes.
But jazz is so interesting to me. You know, growing up in Newark, but really knowing jazz and appreciating jazz to some extent, but really being drawn more to the R&B thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fusion. I hate to use the word fusion, but the connection between R&B and jazz is just, I mean, it's just there.
Oh yeah.
Are the lines so clearly delineated between jazz and R&B, or is it just?
Well, what I would say about jazz, the main differences between jazz and R&B, number one is the swing feeling that jazz is focused on, whereas R&B is more of a funk feeling,
right.
in general. And the other is the improvisation. R&B tends to be more organized, not organized, they're both organized, but R&B tends to be composed, mostly composed music, and the jazz guys are mostly improvising. Now, that said, there's all kinds of flexibility in that side of it, which is the beauty of both genres. And so there's a lot of mix. I grew up in the 70s, so I played tons of R&B and funk music. And in fact, my newest record, not my newest one, but one I did last year was a funk record. So, you know, but mainly I'm a jazz guy, and so I bring my jazz sensibility to R&B and to funk. But the thing is, if we train young people in jazz music, one of my many goals, besides these broad, you know, human attributes that we talked about, is that the jazz musician is the most flexible of our musicians. We focus on sight reading, we focus on excellent instrumental technique, we focus on listening and how to listen to music deeply and seriously, and we focus on improvisation. Those skills put together allow the jazz musician to function in any genre, which is why you see Beyonce has a bunch of jazz people in her band, and Whitney had Kirk Whalum, and Michael Jackson had Michael Bearden, and I mean, there's all these folks that have jazz people in their bands because the jazz guys are among the best musicians because it's the most difficult and challenging and deepest, richest music to study from perspective of fitting in so many different places.
Well said, Mr. Don Braden, who is Artistic Director of the Wells Fargo Jazz for Teens program at NJPAC, handling the whole jazz scene at NJPAC, our partner with John Schreiber there. I want to thank you so much, Don. We appreciate it.
Steve, it's my pleasure.
You got it. Looking forward to seeing you down there when great stuff happens at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center. We'll be right back right after this.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by Sun National Bank, Qualcare Inc., New Jersey Manufacturers Insurance Group, ESC&G, Fedway Associates Inc., the Russell Berry Foundation, and by Cone Resnick. Promotional support provided by the Star Ledger and NJ.com, and by the New Jersey Business and Industry Association. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine. One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been produced in partnership with St. Joseph's Healthcare System.